please.
Yep, I will read that. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available in Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute and state their name and address. If you're speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Back to you.
Okay. Anybody got any corrections for the minutes we need to approve? Is there any omissions or corrections that need to be made?
They looked good.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Good boy.
All right, I'll do a roll call. Carl Melberg, aye. James
Sarah
Pickard.
Seward. Oh, sorry.
James Pickett, aye.
Sarah Seward.
Sarah Seward, aye.
Brian Crowley.
Brian Crowley, aye.
Andrew Samarco.
Andrew Smarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield.
Kyle Maxfield, aye.
Julie Rupp.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Good. Going down the list of administrative discussions, Long Lake Stormwater feature, is that what you want to hit first or something else?
I can just blow through some of these fairly quickly. The Long Lake Stormwater feature is just to let you know that the water department is looking to do an extra one in the Long Lake neighborhood, maybe in that sort of field area near the beach, which is under conservation control. I'll have to check with town attorney that that's an acceptable use of conservation land, but that's just a heads up. And ditto with the Cobb's Pond conservation restrictions. Town council, water department's council, Littleton Conservation Trust, Little Conservation Trust council, EEA, DEP are all kind of looking to try to sort out those CRs because they are kind of a mess. They're overlapping. They say different things. So at some point, it'll probably get shaken out and come back to the commission for some sort of approval. You own some of the land and you have the CR on some of that land.
Sorry, Amy, could you go back to the Long Lake thing? What part of town land, what town land property? Because there's the strips next to the lake, but there's also right next to the parking lot. They had a stormwater feature that needed maintenance. Is that what they're talking about? Or?
No, it's the open field that's across, what is that, Lake Road Street?
Drive?
It is, that little field in there, the mowed field.
Oh.
I think apparently the neighborhood had some yard sales in there sometimes.
Yep.
Which the board,
Oh.
it's that.
So they're planning, have they gotten a grant to do that, or are they using town funds?
It would be a grant, which may or may not need some town funds to go with it. They just kind of did a shot across my bow to let me know it's a possibility, and I shot right back and said, that'd be a great place for a rain garden or pollinator meadow when you're putting in something else. So,
okay, interesting.
so there could be some synchronicity going in there, and they will also, now that things have shaken out a little bit at the water department, and Corey has hired staff, be able to pick up the operations and maintenance of the frog pond. hopefully this
Great.
summer, so.
Okay.
The rain garden is a stormwater feature. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they might do something bigger because there's probably a lot of water, but there's no reason a rain garden can't be a pre-treatment or something.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But if they do chase a grant, Geosyntec, I think it was going to give a lot of help writing the grant, which is like, yay, even better.
It's interesting because that field has been used a lot for parking, during the times when they had the race there, the Apple Man. So they'll have to.
Yeah, I never saw a land use permit for that.
Yeah. It's packed.
Yeah, that field's been used for non-conservation things, or no land use permits on it, but
Yeah, I didn't even know that was conservation land. I thought it was selectmen.
yeah.
Because we had to go through selectmen to use it.
Yeah, well, they did that before. I told them that's Conscom land.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay, James, we got to keep going.
Yeah. Oak Hill cell tower money budget.
Yeah, so we need to get this into a town warrant. Can you see my screen here? I may not recover from this. So right now, the Oak Hill, you can see my screen, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, the Oak Hill cell tower, this is the balance is going through. Pretty much there's about $60,000, $70,000 coming in every year as a receipts and about $30,000 going out to finish up the bond for Prouty, which I believe is ending in 2024. And this also shows the $150,000 that went out for Williams. And then these along the bottom are monies that were asked for open space maintenance, basically, with an assumed one going forward. So I was trying to come up with a wish list, and I had been under the mistaken impression that, the other year I'd asked for 10,000. We only spent 5 because we couldn't get anyone to build the kiosks and put them up. And I had been told that would just carry over. Well, it doesn't. So I have to ask for it again, which means that if I add that in on top of what else I would like to do, we come up with a big number here. So I don't know how you all felt about that.
But your bigger number is approximately 5,000 more.
I'm sorry, what?
So your bigger number when you're referencing, so your budget, so you're at 1649 and you're more estimating for 1054.
If I'll make it personal. If I got everything I wanted, we'd be at 16.5.
Right.
If we top stuff out,
And
I
I
can
don't
take
know
it
how the
down.
commission feels on that, but I feel as though just because we had to defer doesn't mean that we should not ask.
Oh,
So
it is your money. I don't
Right.
think it'd be extremely difficult for them to say, no, you can't use your money.
Sure.
It's just more than I usually ask of you. I'll put it that way.
Right, but
65.
to be fair, if we look retroactively, it already was a previous ask. Correct?
Yes. About $5,000 of it.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Just basically didn't get a chance to spend it.
Right, which
Right.
makes sense. Like last year, a lot of people didn't get to do what they were, what they were hoping to do
Right.
last year. I think it's reasonable. I don't have a problem with that number.
And I will say,
And I agree. I think that if we look at the impact that some of these properties are sustaining, I think I'm very concerned to wait longer on things like if a parking lot needs it or signs and things like that. So I think we're getting much more use.
yeah, absolutely. Chris Mountain, who was building the swing signs and the kiosks, said he will hold his price for the swing signs, but he just can't do the kiosks this year. I only had 2 on, actually I guess 3 on the list. I'm hoping for a scout for one, pay for another one, and which Ed Mullen actually said he and someone else might be able to build for us, because we have the plans for them. And if we can get all this done, then that's done. I don't think there's too many more to do. And we can focus more on things like boardwalks. I wasn't sure if there's any more survey that we felt the need for.
Yeah. I think anything that requires material, the fact that they're willing to hold pricing on those swing signs, I mean, wood and everything is just jumping. It's just crazy how much it's jumping. So I think on anything that requires a material, we really have to go ahead with it quickly.
Yeah, I was surprised he said yes. I said, okay, fine, we're taking it.
Right. Yep. Do any of the other commissioners have a feeling either way? Can we put forward a vote on this, or do we want to discuss it more?
I think we can put a vote forward.
Okay. Does someone want to put a vote forward for support of the budget?
So
If
moved.
that's what you're asking for, Amy.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
Wait,
Okay.
sorry, Amy, did you say that it includes your administrative help, or is that something else that you emailed?
No, that's entirely separate.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, separate. So I second that movement.
Okay,
All right.
Carl, you want to do your thing?
Yeah, Carl Melberg, aye. James Pickard,
James Pickard, aye.
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
Brian Crowley,
Brian Crowley, aye.
Andrew Smarco,
Andrew Smarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, aye.
Julie Rupp.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Request for certificate of compliance, 537 Newtown Road, 204-641.
They asked because they were closing. I told them there's snow on the ground. I can't go look at it. I assume you would probably want to put that on hold. I'm sure it's probably fine, but, and they had since worked out the closing where they can hold. So unless you're feeling magnanimous, I assume we would just wait for the snow to melt.
Sounds
I think
good.
that's
to be-
reasonable.
Yeah, to be consistent, I'd rather wait.
Yeah.
Reorganization, land use and building department. What's going on there?
That's interesting. I still have, I only have an old copy of the minutes. The reorganization, this is Ed Mullen's idea, is that primarily because the building department has the receipts, because they have the big permit fees. That would make sense to reorganize with building, planning, conservation, health, all under one umbrella, so that we can share administrative assistance among us, get some extra, at least one extra person in there, sort of a business manager type, which would free up the existing admin assistants and especially the current building admin assistant to give more support to Conscom, not technical support.
Right. Yep. And James and the commissioners, Amy had attached that, which I thought was well presented. So in terms of numbers, it shows the other municipal fees, and Littleton is quite low across the board. So, Amy, I think that was just an informational put. Are we having that discussion tonight, or is that just giving us the information?
If you want to take a vote of support, Ed Mullen et al. Would probably appreciate hearing from it. If, depending on when we get out of here, if any of you want to pop into the select board meeting.
Okay. Hey, can I ask a question of the commissioners? And I apologize because I'm remote and I can't see everyone. Has anyone had a chance to look through that? Like, I feel comfortable putting forth a support vote, but I wouldn't want to do that unless everyone's had a chance to look at it.
Sarah, this is Julie. I did look at it, and I thought it was well done. I think it makes sense. My only caveat is I think Amy still does need some technical support. And so I think, for now it's a good step. it seems to be a logical step. And so it's something I would support. But I would caveat it as, I don't think this replaces the need for Amy to get, some support that is actually, sort of like a paralegal
Sure.
versus an
Yep,
administrative
yep.
assistant.
Yeah, so they just
No, and
don't
I think that's great if we want to even draft a language that says in concept or, conceptually, we are in support of this, but we do have points that we would like to share with you.
Although it does say assistant to the conservation agent, that could be a lot of things.
Right,
not-
so that
Sure.
there's two different things. The blue is who already exists. And this green here would be the proposed assistant conservation agent. The admin is over here, so it is two different things. So that is still
Okay.
definitely on the books, if you will.
Okay.
And I could certainly.
Well, I know this was just given to everyone, so, Amy, are they seeking something tonight, or is it just being first presented to the selectmen?
I'm actually not sure, to tell you the truth. This is going to need to get into the warrants for town meeting, which there's
So
still.
do we have do we have one more meeting that we can put this on to the next meeting and show support, or is that something that needs to be done tonight?
I think it needs to be done tonight. I can
Okay.
and maybe, and I don't know if anybody can hop off with me, or after we finish with 83 mil, because I am assuming that won't take too long.
James, what would you like to do? I agree with Julie that we may want to put in a little caveat that we want to make sure that we still have access to counsel and other
Yeah,
things.
you don't want to lose anything that we already have.
Julie, do you feel comfortable, just taking a second to think about that so we can open the 7:45, but maybe before 8, if any commissioner has language that they'd like to put forth a proposal of support?
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me that we wouldn't have access to council with a reorg.
We'll have access to the council. I got all your emails,
Yeah, okay.
and I always go through town administrator anyway.
Yeah, okay.
That's not going to change.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
So do you want to do it
Amy,
now then?
Amy, they couldn't move, they couldn't like, if another board needed someone, could they move you over to that board? Or you,
Amy, I don't think they could because that's a permanent block position on that flow chart, correct?
Yeah, I was hired as conservation agent. They can't move me.
okay,
Admin
Carl,
assistant?
that's a good ask, but I think that flow chart is very specific, the organizational chart.
okay, thanks.
I mean, I'm assuming there might be, I don't want to say turf wars, some discussions when the admin assistant, the next admin assistant actually gets hired about what he or she, who gets them first. Ed Mullen certainly thinks that I need it the most at this point. Maureen has someone. What's happened is a lot of the admin that Janet Fairchild, the building assistant, had been doing has been taken back, and the building commissioner and the water and electric guys are doing their own stuff.
Okay. So in order to keep this meeting going, does someone want to make a motion?
I just have one more question before we make a motion. So in a regular scenario where, say, we wanted to do a budget request or whatever, we go to the selectmen, does this mean that we'd have another layer or two before going to the selectmen? Like, how would that work?
Right now, I report to the building commissioner. That's my line of fire. So that's really not going to change. Because the person at the top, the land use and building commissioner, is also the building commissioner. Obviously, the same with Maureen. She's going to be the assistant director, or whatever it is, as well as the planning director. So that's not going to change.
Okay.
Andrew, I like your train of thought.
Yeah, no,
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So somebody want to make a motion in support of this? subject to change, or put that in there, or in case we decide something isn't quite what we want?
Or at least with clarification.
Clarification?
That the commission still supports getting the assistant conservation agent on board?
Yep. Yeah, so I guess I'll make a motion to support the proposal, with the note that a conservation assistant is still needed, because an administrative assistant would not be expected to have anywhere close to the knowledge that is needed.
Yep.
And it would just
Second.
be
Hey,
Yep,
And
awesome.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Sarah,
Sarah did.
so roll call. Carl Melberg, aye. James Pickard,
Aye. James Pickett, aye.
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
Brian Crowley,
Ryan Crowley, aye.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, aye.
Julie Rupp.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Okay,
Okay, so Amy, your notes say that the Lake Street has been continued, so we don't have the 7:45?
Yep, it didn't get into the newspaper, and I wasn't sure if any abutters would show up, which they didn't, so. Nothing to.
So are there any other updates that we have prior to the 8th so that we can stay on so Amy can jump on the Board of Selectmen?
I had a couple things. The vernal pool brigade is going to be up and running. I sent around the stuff on that to anybody on the email list. If anybody wants to get on, let me know.
Are all the commissioners on? I didn't see that.
Everybody's on.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, everybody's on. And I'm not gonna remember their name. The Long Lake property at Prouty, which, as it turns out, 10 years ago went through the lawsuits about access because they had basically, Andrew's not.
the Silverbergs.
Yes, thank you. Their name came up and I said, this sounds familiar. I looked it up. I went back and read the agreement. And it turns out that one of the agreements was if after 10 years, we could put the trail in if we wanted it along the lake. There is.
I remember it having that clause.
Yeah, and that was September, just coincidentally. So there is still the easement for the trail on the other side of the house, away from the lake. But I don't know if we felt it was worth pursuing or just leaving that can of worms. I sent an email out to the land stewards to see. I'm not too sure what the property is there, and we obviously can't find the bounds right now.
Honestly, I think leaving it as is would be best. It's kind of awkward if you walk through their yard. I don't even like to use the side entrance to get into the property because it's still kind of awkward, but I think leaving it as is would be the best route because if we did anything, I think it would cause trouble anyway.
Is there signage there now that points people in the right way?
Oh yeah. There's a post and a couple signs.
Where is this?
This is on Aspen Drive.
Where Lakeshore Drive, is it Lakeshore Drive ends in Aspen?
Yep, and Aspen creates the climb.
Okay.
Used to be the Kona property.
Anna, what are your thoughts on that after 10 years?
I think most people around the lake don't own that front strip in front of their house, buffering. It's supposed to be a public way, and I mean,
Nobody owns the lakeshore.
What?
Nobody owns the lakeshore.
Nobody owns the lakeshore, and I think it's consistent. It's a great pond. It's supposed to have access by the public, and I don't know. I agree with Andrew. It's more awkward than other properties though because the house is a little closer to the lake than with other properties, and there's less room for it's a paper road. It was supposed to continue through there, and but if it was just a small path, it may be okay. Well, I mean, but also Andrew is right. There's behind the house, there's a path that leads to the same path around the lake. So there are options. And so since the Silverbergs are still there, and it might be, I mean, they've signed an agreement though. So I don't know. I struggle to know the correct
So
option.
Yeah,
I
but
guess that, and I like both the inputs, and I appreciate that. My only question is, if at some point you don't exercise that option after 10 years, you have the option, do you lose it? So
Right,
it's kind of
that's
that,
what I
like,
would be
people,
afraid of.
so that's my only question, how you have these like 99-year leases, and if all of a sudden you don't tell someone they can't use a trail, you know, it's in perpetuity then that they can always use it. So I just want to make sure that we're okay if there's no action, like we don't lose the future of an action. And I
Yes,
know we're
that's
not going to settle that tonight, but that's my only question is, like, if we do nothing, does it go away?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
think you ought to run it by town council.
Yes.
Right. Andrew, do you follow me on that?
I do.
Yes.
I mean, where Lakeshore is municipal property, I know what you're saying. Like, if it's not used, would it adversely go to the abutting property owner because they're exercising use of it? But you can't do that against the municipality. So,
Okay.
I think it's solid in that case. If it was private property and there's clear and adverse possession for a set number of years, then, you know, that person could
Right.
take it, but you can't do it against a government entity. So I don't think we'd ever lose
Okay.
access if we.
Okay.
I haven't
Well,
looked at the property in a while, but my recollection is they are kind of occupying that area. If I recall, I think they're mowing it. They do have a dock, which they're allowed by agreement.
And they store their canoes there too.
As does everybody all along Lakeshore Drive.
My understanding is that the town took by eminent domain, I believe, Smadback, they took that strip that's about a foot wide all around the lake. I think there was a taking there at some
Well, it's
point.
more than a foot. It's
It's
quite a.
like 10 or 20 feet easily.
Is-
Yeah.
So it was a legitimate taking. It was all agreed upon, I think.
Well, maybe at least we should have a sign at the corner saying, pointing to the trail up the hill a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's a detour. I'm not sure it's obvious if you're walking down Lake.
Oh, it's a pretty good opening, and there's actually a trail post right in front of it, so it's very hard to miss.
You're
But
trying
maybe
to say you
one
need
at
a
the corner.
kiosk there?
I don't know if I'd
But
put
I
it.
don't think we need a kiosk. No, I think just a sign.
Okay.
I mean, since
Yeah.
I mean, it does connect, or well, technically could connect from, you know, the entrance to Long Lake Park, and you could and be directed to Prouty from there. We were thinking of having signs or even just something on the pavement leading some people to, you know, to each park. But I don't know. There, as Andrew said, there is a good size 4x4 post right now.
At the trailhead,
Right.
Trailhead, yeah.
but you don't see that from the corner of the road.
That's right. You can't see it from the corner of the road. Yeah.
Right. So I guess my suggestion would be that it sounds like there's a lot of factors in this discussion that I think we should just kind of continue to carry it forward. And Andrew, I appreciate that input, that we may not lose something by no action.
I'll check with town council on that, and basically otherwise I'm just waiting for the snow to melt to see what it even looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and
James, you want to go ahead and do the 8, so then Amy can also keep track of Board of Selectmen if she has to jump off.
yeah, Ted just said also had his hand up. I don't know if
Yeah,
Ted,
it's 8 o'clock.
you had your hand up a long time before that.
I had my hand up because the Silverbergs took that land with very little regard for the town at the time, and you know, they, awkward or not, they took that land. They removed it from the public use of the residents of Littleton, and I think the Conservation Commission should do anything they can to restore that land and that walking path to the residents of Littleton.
It's a nice direct path, or would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continued public hearing notice of intent, 83 Mill Road, U38-260, Mass DEP file number 204-927, replace failed septic system. I did go by there, met the owner when I went by there, the proposed owner, sometime this last week. So has anybody else got any input on that?
I think we're good
Is
to
there
go.
Board of Health, is there Board of Health approval?
Yes, the Board of Health, was it last Wednesday? They approved the variances and Jim just waiting on a little bit of paperwork from me before approving the plan.
Okay. So were there any changes to the plan?
Not from the one that you have, no.
Okay. So can you walk us through, because it sounds like there were no changes, and I think that we would be I think the commissioners, I don't want to speak for them, but would be in support of what we had discussed because of the limitations, but we have to have assurances that what the town is asking are still in the realm of what we would approve. So
You're asking what the resident is asking or the town is asking?
No, what the town is asking of you, like to add on to your plan, or what did the Board of Health ask you? Did they ask you to make any modifications?
No, because Jim and I had been working on this for so long. I mean, we went out there and did soil testing 3 times to make sure we had a plan and, that met the regulations and could be supported, passed, as Jim always says, a straight face test, So, just given the limited area here and the way Jim and I kind of did our homework, and actually, I'll admit it, Jim held me really to the fire here when I thought we had an approvable plan before that. And, we went out and did some more work. So, Jim was behind it. So, the board was behind it, and there really is no other options. So,
Right. So
I think it was
pretty
straightforward.
Did the Board of Health grant you approval?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I watched.
Cool. Okay.
When I looked at it, it looked like they had too many options to do anything much different.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get the septic tank and the pump chamber, a little further away from the lake, but
That can't happen.
that's where it's crawl space. That's where the plumbing comes out, and and then there's ledge everywhere else. So it's just a difficult site. If this house were proposed today on a vacant lot, it probably wouldn't be allowed. So it's just one of those grandfathered lots that's going to stay in use.
Are you sure there's no ledge between the tanks and the field? Has that been checked?
Yeah, we have a couple test pits in there. I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point based on what I saw out there, but we do have a deep test hole right next to the driveway. I can share my screen if you want, that, has, 3 feet. And, as we're going up, Jim, up that slope, we're going up the slope. So we're getting, we're staying at relatively the same depth below grade. So we're not going any deeper that we have to necessarily be worried about ledge.
Is that going to be like a raised septic system or anything? I mean, it's
not technically, it's raised to a degree that it's pumped, but since it's the existing grade is not being raised at all, it's actually being cut down about a foot. It's not going to be, not technically a mounded system. It's not a system infill, as they would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looks like it's going to be pretty close to the roadway up above. It comes all the way up.
Yeah, it's actually not close to the road. If you look at that, again, I can share screen if you want, but the property line drops back off of the roadway there. So it's away from the road, but it's right up against the property line.
Mm-hmm. I guess I don't have a problem. If you can't do anything different, I don't have a problem with it. Anybody else got any comments?
So how close is the discharge then? Did it end up to groundwater?
Oh, we have the full 5 feet required by Title V for a soil with less than 2 inches per 2 minutes per inch.
Okay. And then if you get into it and there's ledge, that's a change in conditions and a change in fill. So do you come back to the Board of Health and us, or how does that work?
Depends on what we have. If we find, we're not going to dig any deeper than we have to on the trenches. So, we're not going to go down, a football of trenches, all of a sudden find ledge. It's if we find something that comes up into where the trenches are proposed. Based on the testing that we have, fingers crossed, we're not going to hit it. We've got 4 test pits that we excavated within this these 3 trenches. So,
Okay.
again, but then just, 15, 20 feet away, we've got ledge at the surface. So it's.
Julie, you can put that in
know.
as a reminder in the order of conditions as well, that if soil conditions or site conditions change.
I mean, I guess if it's ledge and ledge is removed and it's replaced with fill, then it's, more pervious. So,
Right.
so there's that. And, recognizing, like, I've been by the site and I'm in general familiar with that area. And I know it's just, there's not a lot of options. So I recognize that.
Okay.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to let this go forward?
How about some of the commissioners we haven't heard from in a while?
Stick their neck out on a limb.
Yep.
I'll make the move that we approve an order of conditions for 83 Mill Road. I don't have the DEP number in front of me.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Carl Melberg, aye. James Pickard,
James Pickett, aye.
Brian Crowley,
Brian Crowley, aye.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, aye.
Julie Rupp.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Oh, did I get Sarah Seward?
No.
No.
Sarah Seward, I, and it's Mass DEP number 204-927.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's unanimous.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you.
a point of-
Let me know when that position for Assistant Conservation Commission Administrator opens up. I'll send them my resume.
Okay,
Do that, Ted.
So yeah, have a good.
just for a point of
Thank you.
interest,
Bye.
I believe we had a former Conservation Commission member that lived in the house next door to it. I can't remember his name. He was only on the board for a short period of time. He, I believe,
Which
some
house
time
are we
ago.
talking about, James?
Huh?
Which house? Which house
It's
are we
right-
talking?
It would be the house to the, if you're facing the camp, it's gonna be the house to the right. I think it's
Oh,
the
on
next
Mill
one.
Road?
Yep, and I
Right.
can't remember his name, but I just remember he was gonna put in a, storage shed or something. We had to go and check it out.
Oh, was it Josh?
Huh?
Was it Josh Millard?
Oh, I think you might be right, Andrew. Yeah. How'd you pull that out of it? Ooh, that's great.
Hey, what
Yep.
can I say?
Okay. Amy, are you still on, or are you on the Board of Selectmen?
Nope, I'm still here. They haven't, Maureen's gonna let me know when they go.
Okay.
I got
So we'll let
one.
you.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say if there was anything still on Amy's list.
The only other thing I just wanted to report on the snow storage stuff, I looked at Distribution Circle 80 Air. I didn't go on the site because I'm about to go on there when they start construction. The Russell Street School, 119 Russell and the Point. And there's a little bit of issue at Air Liquide, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry. And there was Russell Street School looked fantastic. Workers Credit Union didn't look so great. They're like, oh, we're so sorry, it'll never happen again. So we're gonna have a discussion with them. And the Point was fine. A little bit of an issue, but I got a flat tire, so I got to talk to everybody there anyway about it. So
Did,
Amy, what's up with Air Liquide? Because there's some interesting areas that if they're pushing snow in, might compromise that.
they pushed right across distribution center or circle, whatever that is. And I'm like, no,
Right.
it doesn't leave your property. So
Okay. Are there, I don't think that was pre-signage for snow storage, correct?
No, it wasn't. As a matter of fact, I could not find any snow storage delineation areas at Workers' Credit Union, for that matter. And I looked at the planning board files too. So that was interesting.
Did,
Okay.
They were, they said, oh, we'll work with you. It won't happen again. We'll clean it up. So,
Okay.
I got one point I'd like to, on your wish list. I hope you're working on the gravel road or whatever going up to the water tower on Oak Hill. Whether we're getting some engineering or whatever it takes to get that resolved. Is that,
yeah, I just got a call. I got to go to the select board. The gravel road, I don't think it's going to make it onto the warrants for this summer, but I think this summer I'm gonna have to go out there with Chris and some folks from the water department and figure something out and who's paying for it and where the money's coming from.
I just don't want,
The
just
capital
don't want to have it
improvement.
get forgotten, that's all.
Oh, no, it's not forgotten.
Okay, so we need to adjourn this meeting?
Amy, I got one question. Have you checked Workers' Credit Union? Do we know if they took down the appropriate number of trees or they take down more trees than they have?
Dave Cal is going to do a spring monitoring report, and I'll make sure they double check all that. But I got to jump off so I can get onto the
Okay, thank you.
select board. I'll leave you guys to close out.
Yep.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yep.
Amy.
So we
So
need
in
to
order for
formally
Amy
adjourn
to-
this meeting?
Yep. So we need to have someone needs to make a motion to do that first, and then go through the roll call again.
Motion to adjourn.
We're here a second.
Second.
Okay,
Okay,
Kyle.
all those in favor, Carl Melberg, aye.
Wait. So can you guys, for Amy, for her notes, just state the time too, because she'll go back and watch this for the notes.
At 8,
I think it's 8:13.
Okay, Carl Melberg, aye. James Pickard,
James Pickett, aye.
Brian Crowley,
Brian Crowley, aye.
Sarah Seward,
Sarah Seward, aye.
Andrew Samarco,
Andrew Samarco, aye.
Kyle Maxfield,
Kyle Maxfield, aye.
Julie Rupp.
Julie Rupp, aye.
Okay, oh, and Sarah, okay, that's unanimous.
This is the shortest
Thank you,
meeting
everyone.
we've had.
I know, right?
You guys are very efficient.
Short.
Hey,